Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to another video, another episode of Chat and Draw. This is my third art video, and here I will be drawing a portrait. I was actually struggling quite a lot with this one, because I had to adjust the facial features completely, so it will look very different from what you see now, and how it basically ends up, whilst we also talk about the topic of burnout. And me having experienced that as an artist, I want to kind of share the things that burnt me out. Maybe some of you can relate, and what we could potentially do to counter that. So number one of the things that kind of burnt me out was feeling stuck finding references and endlessly scrolling and searching. So I don't know about you, but for me, I sometimes get like major anxiety when I'm looking for certain things I want to draw, but they're like kind of not popping up, or I'm just gathering a lot of stuff, and it's just like, I want to find the perfect thing to show or display, and I couldn't find it. And eventually, I had to ask some help, and try to get some help on, okay, I want to draw something, but I don't know what to draw. So I just asked for a friend's advice and say, hey, look, these are 3 different portraits. Could you help me out? Pick one. So that's something that also helps, definitely asking other people. Sometimes it's hard to ask others, but I feel like that will also help kind of get you further. Like, what do you think about this? Or like, do you think this is pretty nice to draw? Maybe not, maybe this. Just to try to, get that step, or one step further into drawing, so you don't endlessly feel stuck, because that can also lead you to quitting way faster, because you're like, I don't know what to draw. All right, let's not draw anything. So another thing is feeling of not being good enough. Now the thing is that not feeling good enough is like, maybe other people won't think I'm good enough. But a lot of times it's like your own self kind of saying, like, I'm not good enough, or this art piece is not good enough, and whatever. But again, you cannot have these like negative thoughts kind of cloud you, because you are good enough, and there is like so much to learn. And from where I came from, and in future videos, I want to show you guys my art progression from where I was, what I learned, what I did, so that maybe can help all of you to progress in your art journey if you're feeling stuck, or if you feel like you're not good enough, because honestly you are, and anyone can become a master, right? It's just some few things and some aspects that you need to consider, and try to stay positive, try to stay active as much as possible. So I want to see if I can help you guys with that in future videos. So then another thing is trying to copy the reference exact one-to-one. This is something that I felt as well, is if I get the aspect of, or if I get like the message of the piece over, like the story behind it, the character, I think that's more than enough for me, and that works really well. But if I try to copy an art piece, or like a portrait, like a photo, like a real photo, one-to-one, it starts to crumble, because all my fundamentals of like, this is how I like to draw my faces and stuff, will start to fall, because I'm not a realism artist. I'm more of like a semi-realism, like manga cartoon type of artist when it comes to characters. So trying to copy exactly one-to-one doesn't really work, and it really just kind of limits my ability, or it shows to myself that I'm like, this kind of looks bad, and it's like, this does not look good at all, because realism is something you really need to do so much, and really need to get the fundamentals of. So that's something that really burnt me out as well, is just trying to copy exact one-to-one. That's not the point, because you need to learn to develop kind of your own style in a way. There are studies that you can do, but everyone has their own drawing style, so keep that in mind. Another thing is focusing too much on the little details. this is also something I think I talked about in the first video, is try to see the bigger picture of things and try not to zoom in, because like some little detail is just like people won't really notice or people won't really see. So try not to overdo them, because the bigger picture or the general, view or image is more important than anything. That's why working from bigger shapes to smaller shapes is the best way to go about it. Then prioritizing quality over quantity burnt me out as well, and I'm still trying to get better at it and outputting more rather than focusing on, oh, this has to be the best piece. No, it's just like, has to be somewhat decent piece. Okay, I make something, move on to the next one. Like overthinking it and trying to make the best piece is gonna take you hours, and because you put in the hours and you put in the work, that will just drain you, because that will like prevent you. It will stop you from wanting to do more, because like, oh, I spent so much or so many hours on this piece and now I don't want to draw anything more, and then you lose your consistency, etc. So that can also lead to things. So maybe prioritize. Doing studies is really good. Quantity, if you don't want to draw like a full rendered piece, doing studies is really good. So I'm going to also make videos on studying other artists, studying other art stuff, so you guys can follow along in my journey. And yeah, then there's another point that I want to cover, is trying to do too many things at once. With that I mean learning to sketch, learning proper lines, learning how to color, learning how to shade, learning how lighting works, learning color theory, learning anatomy, learning perspective, learning backgrounds. If you try to do everything at once, it's not going to work out. So what I suggest is to master one aspect really well, and like get it to a really good point, and then kind of get a taste of what the new thing is going to be like. So maybe you want to do line art and sketch first and get really good at that, and then okay, all right, this works very well, and then you can move on to basic shading. And like, okay, all right, I know how to draw, I know how to sketch, I know how how to draw anatomy, or I don't know, buildings or mechanical stuff. And then you move on to basic shading, learning how to do that, apply that on top of that, and make some of those things. And then you kind of progressively get new stuff only once you have acquired enough knowledge or mastered like a certain thing. It's like, okay, let's move on to the next. That's something that I also see with a lot of people and new artists, beginner artists, is they make a full piece. They have like sketcher, color, and trying to render everything all at once, but they don't have the fundamentals, or they don't, they haven't mastered a certain aspect yet. So everything kind of looks 50% finished, which is not what you would like to have, and it will also prevent you from progressing as an artist. So maybe that's another handy thing. Then one of my most important ones that I want to give anyone is learn to take a step back when needed. Sometimes an art piece is like you stare at it for so long that you just stop seeing mistakes or stop seeing the things. So you need to learn to just take a step back, leave it be for a day, or like leave it for a few hours, do something different, completely different from art, come back to the art piece, and then you will have more of a clear and fresh mind to say, oh wait, this kind of looks off, let's try that, or stuff like that. And that can also prevent burnout, because like maybe you're focusing too much on the same thing, you can't get it right, so you're trying to fix it a billion times and it still doesn't work. Just breathe, take a step back, close your program down. So yeah, and here's the final piece. Thanks for watching, and yeah.